Comedy Mushroom Cult Podcast. Let me put my coffee somewhere. I wanted it to be in an available place, so it wouldn't like shaky noise all the time when I do it. I found out I'm like a very annoying coffee person because I refuse to use lids or straws often. Refuse is a strong word. I just don't like doing it. It has nothing to do with the turtles, and it has pretty much everything to do with like utility. Like I don't know. I'm a grown up. I don't need a straw. What are you, a child with your fucking sippy cup? God damn it! All right, 45 seconds. We're rusty. It's been a couple of weeks. We will get to why here in a minute, but we have a very important message. It has just come across my desk that this beat is automatic, supersonic, hypnotic, and funky fresh. That's important for you to know. I don't know why. I took a second to write it down because I record the video from my phone now. We're going to pull in the curtains back podcast. I think we've gone over this before, but we record on my phone. And that's where I take all of my notes because like I say, I'm the biggest hypocrite out there. I'm at the forefront of the taking down technology and not having anything to do with it as much as possible, but I'm on my phone all the fucking time, and I take all of my notes on my phone. So when I do notes for the podcast, I'll put things I want to talk about on the podcast. Yes, this is I don't have a written bits, but I have notes for what I want to talk about, and I remembered that sticky notes, more specifically pen and paper, existed, and I was well, I don't want a big sheet of paper to look at. People will notice that. And then I was oh, do you know what would work? That would be low key and not super noticeable sticky notes that are lime fucking green, which is very ADHD helpful. The amount of times that these lime green sticky notes have saved my life is 1,000 times, because what I'll do if it's something that I need to remember to not forget, which is I understand that that's what remembering means. And not for whatever. I understand that that's kind of saying the same thing twice. What's the word? I'm beating. Who cares? All right. So I know that that's saying the same thing twice. But ADHD brain, right? The amount of times that I've had to do one thing and then forgot. That's the thing about ADHD. They were lists help you, and it's yes, lists help me organize all the things that I'm going to forget to do later. Because I just found it, I have a list in my phone of things I gotta get done, and I went through it. I found it for the first time in 2 months. It's pinned in my notes, and it's pretty obvious, but I have to remember to look at my list of shit to do, and when's the last time I sat down and was step 1, look at the list of all the other shit I need to do. Step 2, do that shit. Step 3, add to the list. Because I don't know, that's just kind of how my brain, I don't know about all ADHD, but that's how my brain works, is yeah, fuck that list. We're just gonna bury it somewhere. You're gonna remember. You've always remembered. You've always figured it out. And if you're if you don't have time to get your passport now, I'm not traveling anywhere, but I want to get my passport, especially since I fucked up and didn't do the right paperwork for my driver's license, and they're doing that thing where if you fly you have to have that special driver's license that proves you're an American citizen, whatever the fuck. Because we can't just I understand why bureaucracy exists. I understand why big government functions exist. I understand why we can't just let anybody on airplanes. Never forget, you know? But also, we did it for so goddamn long without it, and then because of 12 knuckleheads or however many there were, and then one guy who put a bomb in his shoe, and you can't just go in there with cash and buy a ticket. You have to fill out information. If I show it, if the name, it's a Nate Bargatze bit. If the name and the face, you could, my face matches, the name may not match 100%, because it's his, whatever, we're not going to do his whole bit, but if the name on the ticket matches the name, either I went through enough trouble to fake an ID to take down this whole plane by myself while there's like air marshals and fucking shit like that. Like the people who are like ruining flights now are drunk people, or like that one guy who tried to take the plane down because he was high on mushrooms, which is like, he also said he didn't sleep for 3 days. I'm thinking that's probably the issue, and he took mushrooms because he was super depressed, which we've been there. Comedy and Mushroom Cult podcast, like this wouldn't exist without mushrooms and depression. But like, those are the people taking down flights, not people with like wrong paperwork. Like, let me take a fucking flight if I need to. All right, it's the airline industry is like constantly failing. So like, why don't you just let me slip through the cracks without having to have a passport to show you, like, to prove I am who I am? I also like switch jobs enough that it'd be like super helpful just to have, instead of having to have like your driver's license and your social security card. Like, here's my passport. Fucking take a copy of that. You know, like that's what we need to do for that. But that's been on my list for fucking 4 months now, and that's not going to get anything done. But these sticky notes, if I can't forget something, I will put like, hey, I will stick a sticky note on my phone. Don't forget that one thing. I'll put it on the mirror when I'm brushing my teeth. Don't forget that one thing. I'll put it on like the refrigerator door. Hey, make sure you don't forget to pack that one thing. Do it right now so you don't forget it. And then I'll put another one right on the door handle, not even in like a line of sight. I'll put it directly on the door handle and be like, hey, stupid, did you remember that one thing? And a lot of times it's that last one that saves me. So I don't know why it needs to be lime green to like catch my attention, but like I put it in the places that I go on to, but I guess the lime green helps. So we've got that. If they come in here and like they just turned the heat on today and they like sent us an email a week and a half ago telling us that they needed to fucking do like our insulation on our goddamn thing, I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind. Like, they could have come in here any other time, but if they do it while I'm recording this stupid fucking podcast, I'm gonna be very upset. I also just found out where I can look to make it easier for timing myself. That's cool. Been doing this for how long now? But yeah, sorry about no episode last week. I came down with some sort of death sickness. It wasn't COVID. I didn't take like a COVID test, but like COVID is the only time I get a fever. I don't get fevers. So like that's never a good, like, I don't know, maybe that's why I get so sick when I get sick, is my body doesn't fight it. I think we've been through this rant before. But like my body shut down. Like I got up for work, and like had like a pounding headache right off the rip. And I'm like, okay, maybe I didn't have enough caffeine. Because that's what caffeine addiction does to you. You have to have caffeine at a certain point. Nope. It was something else. Then my stomach started to turn. Thought I was going to throw up. And since I work in like food service, you can't go in if you feel like you throw up. And everybody lies, you know? Like, you use a stomach ache as a reason to get out of working when you don't want to, like, when you get to work and you find out you're about to do some bullshit, you'd be like, ooh, fuck, I don't know, must have ate something weird, just threw up in the bathroom. But not like in the morning, you don't want to be like, ooh, my stomach hurts. But yeah, it definitely did. So like that, like I called 2 days off of work, Thursday and Friday, and canceled the show on Thursday night, which like I never cancel shows. For sickness, I'll cancel them because like they're 2 hours away and all of a sudden don't pay. No shade to like anybody, like that happens sometimes. But like, you know, it's I don't do it because I'm sick. Like, I'll show up. I'm working for like 20 minutes, 25, a half hour, 45 minutes. You know, I'm not like actively, and I mean driving in the car sucks. But like, excuse me, this was in the city. So like it's a 10-minute drive, and I don't fucking, whatever. I would be working for an hour and a half. But like, it shut me down. But then, I mean, I pieced it back together enough. I did a show in Michigan, Portland, Michigan. The most, like, there's Portland, Oregon, there's Portland, Maine, but the most important one is Portland, Michigan. And I did a fundraiser, apparently, for the Portland High School bowling team. So you're welcome, guys. I saw that we helped raise $735 and some change, which seemed like rounded up to $750, guys. Don't like be like, I understand that that's kind of like the point, and I'm taking away from it because they had to pay me. I'm not working for free. Fuck that. I don't care about the Portland, Michigan high school bowling team. But I hope they win states this year because we did it. But yeah, like shout out to everybody at the American Wagon Wheel Bar and Grill that's attached or something like that. Attached to a bowling alley is like a full like country restaurant. Like it's like if you had like a Cracker Barrel, and instead of like the front end where they're selling you all the kitschy shit, they said there's a bowling alley attached to it. So like that was cool. I got to bowl a few games. It was a little rusty. The guy at the desk was kind of chirping at me a little bit, but he was nice. Shout out to Jeff. He was a cool guy. Let me give me my shoes for free. It would have been better if he gave it to me all for free. It's not like you can't just press a button and be like, here you go, kid. Thanks for doing the show. But no, it was super fun. It was a good time, good show. But I left like right after my set. I usually, especially for like real gigs, I will stick it out to the end and like kick it. Try to sell some merch, say hi to people, gain a couple of followers, especially after a set like that where it was like super fun and everybody was having a good time. But it was time to go home. I wasn't feeling the best still, but now we're back. We're like up, we're running, everything's popping. So thanks for your patience with that. I've gone through longer things without letting you guys know. So it is what it is. Let's go over some things. I got my notes. Woo, that was a whirlwind of 12 minutes there, but like 11 and a half after I chopped the beginning off. Again, you don't need to know this stuff. I need to slow down a little bit sometimes. I understand that like I can come out swinging, and what it is, I've figured out is like, since I'm not like having to deal with customer service all day, I don't talk to as many people. Like I'm texting people, I'm ordering coffee, I'm talking to the cats, but like you don't like that human interaction of like, hey, this is a conversation. This is the pace that you talk to people at. Like that slower, like, and then like the first time I talk to people or like use my voice, I'm just like, bow, 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 bow. So we gotta work on that. We gotta pretend. You know, like I've spent most of my life masking my diseases, so we can like try to pretend when I'm doing the things that I like. Oh yeah, I'm before I got sick, something made me sick. This is what made me sick. Got like an argument was I got into like a passive aggressive showdown with a lady at an open mic. And it was like whatever, good for her for like standing up for what she believes in and like being helpful to like, those are air quotes for the audio listeners, the audio subscribers is what I should have said, those who enjoy audioly the dulcet tones of my voice, which seems a little rough today, which is fine. That's fair. It's not, I haven't had my I'm out of green drink, so that's coming on Saturday. My iced coffee's over there. But I don't want to like clank the ice. I've already like low level burped in the mic already, so I'm trying not to be as rude to you folks. But I mean, also get a life, listen to somebody else if you want something better. Yeah, whatever. Take a breath, Ray. But yeah, so Mondays at Shakers on Clark here in Chicago, there is a open mic. It's like in the afternoon. It's a fun one. It's one of my favorites. It doesn't, like, it's not, 1 second. Petey, hey, knock it off. It's not like the most like professional mic. It's a 5:30 mic at a bar where you have to like buy a drink or whatever. And it's like the first mic of the day, and so like people are like trying new stuff, and it's very fun. Shout out to Derek Strong for that. And we gotta like it's good. But like this chick showed up. It's not like a very well like attended mic by like the outside world. so like when people show up with like people, it's kind of weird. And this chick showed up with like 5 of her family members, and then when the list comes out, like yes, you get there early, and like the list comes out, it's kind of a mad dash, but like honor amongst thieves. It's, you know, you sign up in the order that you got there, and just so you don't want to be seen as an asshole, like stealing somebody's spot, or like, and I'm very much like, hey, we were here close to the same time. I'm not arguing with you. I don't even want to have the conversation to figure out who was here first. Like, you can go ahead of me. I can wait 4 minutes to go up. But like this chick's like mom cut to the front of the line and just straight up looks at me while I'm signing my name on the list and goes, so how does this work? And I go, well, you get in the line and then you sign up in the order that you got here. And she goes, oh, well, fuck that. My daughter's not waiting. And like signs up her daughter at like a better spot. And this was like this girl's like 3rd open mic. And I was just like, okay, that's a great way not to have people like you. And I like, and this lady's like whole, like she gave her like this whole speech, and I'm like sitting right there, and I know she was talking loudly, so like she like said that she was like one-upping me and like trying to get a rise out of me, and I like turned and looked at her and like rolled my eyes at her, and like that made her more mad. Like, what? You think that you're gonna like get me to look like the asshole in this situation? Like, everybody at her table was shaming her, so then she was like talking loud enough to get me to like get a rise and be like, yeah, you're right, or they're right, you're a dumb fucking bitch for doing that. And I don't call women bitches often, but when you just like, yeah, fuck that, my daughter's not waiting. It wasn't even her. Like, if the daughter was like, yeah, I'm not playing that game, cool, whatever. Kind of a bold move for your 3rd mic, but I get it. Like, you're trying to make a mark. I'm the guy who like came out and called everybody in Milwaukee rock stars at my first open mic because nobody would sign up before 6th in the middle of COVID. They didn't want to be like that, because you understand, if the first person signs up at 6th, that's number 1. But they're fucking stupid. Shout out Milwaukee and all your fucking idiots. Who, whatever, it doesn't matter. Most of those people that were there don't even do comedy anymore because real comics came back, and you've been fucking hacks your entire life. You never worked outside of Milwaukee, so like, don't talk about anything outside of Milwaukee. Great bit about fucking West Dallas. I couldn't even remember the suburb that people make fun of. Great bit about Dallas. You fucking hack. That's why you still host and do guest spots at the Improv, even though you've been doing it for like 14 years. Come into your trap, steal your trap. It's my trap now. But no, it's just out here swinging at people I'm not gonna name, but fuck you. So it's like I would have appreciated it if that girl did that. But she was even at the table like, hey, thanks, but like, that's not helpful. And like, this lady's like, well, these people are, and she's not wrong. The thing that made me the most mad was like, she's not 100% wrong, but like, the solution is not to like feed into it. Because like, if you're gonna go, like, if you're brand new to a thing and you're like, these people don't care about you, they only care about themselves, you need to look out for you. Like, yes, those are all real things, but you can't be like, you need to look out for you, so I'm gonna go sign you up. Like, that's fucking asinine. Alright, fucking helicopter parents, when your 20-something-year-old daughter is like going to go bomb for 4 minutes, like, it's not, and you're gonna laugh anyways. And she's like, I don't want her to wait for 20... Like, there's women at this mic. There's, like, women who are respected more than most of the dudes at this mic. Like, it's not... I understand, like, what the view is from the outside looking in. And, like, I understand that, yes, sometimes, a good amount of times that men are rude to women in stand-up and, like, don't respect them and give them, like, the right, like, the same amount of space and time. But like, I don't know, in the circles I run in and like the places I go to, like, no, it's game recognizes game. You're either funny or you're not. And like, if you happen to be a girl, you're a girl. That's great. Enjoy it. Whether you identify, like, who gives a fuck? Nobody, like, every single mic that I've been to, yeah, sure, there's like 1 or 2 dudes who are like, these fucking women, and bisexual people and LGBTQ people. Like, is it annoying that the first 10 spots at certain mics are, like, reserved for them? Yes. But, like, it also makes sense because they've been fucked for so long. So it's like, alright, just play the goddamn game. It's not, like, that big of a deal. And usually there's not 10 women or, like, people in that community that are there. So, like, whatever. Like, let them have this thing. Like, they can have the first 10 spots. We've had power for, like, the last 5,000 years. Like, they can have this stupid thing. But when you're just gonna be that, like, it's that weird Gen X, older millennial woman thing where, like, the world has kind of caught up more than they think it has. It's not, like, perfect. I'm not gonna sit up here and be like, women are equal in society. Like, I have a joke right now about how I'm excited to see what's gonna happen when women get, like, the other 23% of their paychecks they're supposed to get. Like, I understand we live in that society, but, like, there's been 2 female candidates for president within the last 10 years. That's kind of cool. Like, I know they didn't win, but, like, I don't think that that's because they're women. I'm sure it has something to do with them being women, but it's not because of that. It's because they ran on, like, well, I'm a girl boss, so I deserve it, and, like, for you to question me is sexist. Like, that's why they lost. Because, like, they want to play the game, but, like, they don't want to play by the same, whatever. That's why they lost. But, like, right now in Chicago, there's, I would say, the top end of female comedy is better than the top end of male comedy. So, like, we all see that. We see these women working hard and, like, putting the reps in and, like, are really good. And, like, we're not just gonna, yeah, we're all in it for ourselves. And we're all gonna, like, if I can get on the list 5 spots sooner, sure. Like, I'm going to do that. But, like, also learn how to play the game. It doesn't matter if, like, you're a man or a woman or a fucking what, like, you're trans, you're like identifying as nothing. Like, you can come in there in a fucking, like, a goddamn furry mask. And if it's your third mic and you come in here and you're just, like, throwing shit, or, like, you're fucking with everything, like, people aren't going to like you. And that has nothing to do with you being a woman. That has to do with you being a dickhead. And you're a dickhead, lady. So the chances that you see this are 0. But I don't know. I think that's important. More important, last night at the open mic, and I wasn't going to talk about this. This isn't going to be like the open mic podcast. I have, like, something that I actually want to talk about after this point, but this, like, leads into it, so that's cool. That's how it's an arc, guys. They're, like, separate on the list. I wish I could show you, but, like, the next 3 bullet points kind of blend into each other, right? But last night at the open mic, and this lady was very nice, or a woman, very nice, but, like, made a big deal before she went up on stage to be like, yeah, you know, I'm self-employed, so I can, like, follow my artistic, like, my artistic journey, which, like, that's me. I, like, whatever. I'm not laughing at her following her dreams, but, like, she said she's self-employed, but, like, also said that she works for, like, a dog walking company, which means that she's 1099. And, like, they sold her on, like, it's like being self-employed. Like, that's not the same thing as being self-employed. You're just a gig worker, so you can do your quote-unquote art more. And she said she's a photographer as well, so I hope that she's better at photography. Photograph. I hope she's better at photography than she is at music, because that's what she did at the open mic yesterday. And it's not even her, because, like, she was good at playing piano and singing at the same time with, like, another person holding an open mic and reading the words of a song. Like, doing all of that at once is incredibly difficult. I'm not undermining it. I'm not saying that she shouldn't do it. But my point is, there's no reason to be bad at music in public. Like, comedy, you have to do it in public. You can write it, you can read it, you can run it by your buddies on the phone and be like, hey, is there something here? And then they can be like, yeah, maybe. And then until, like, you say it or, like, your angle on it, you don't know. Like, it could be a perfect joke in writing, but until somebody says it out loud, you don't know if it's good or not, right? But with music, You can do that in a room by yourself and be like, hey, does this sounds good? Or you can record it and like play it for your friend and be like, hey, is this good? Should I go to an open mic and do this? Or should I like take this to the public? Like you can practice music. All of those things that are very difficult, like playing piano, very hard. Singing, I can't do it. Reading and playing piano and singing at the same time, borderline impossible. I don't know how anybody ever did it. Maybe memorize the song that you're going to do. It's not even your song. It's like somebody took the time to write it. So like the least you could do if you're going to use their song, like memorize it maybe. But like, who cares, right? It's an open mic. Do what you want, but also like just don't be bad at music in public, and that's for everybody. Like the rapper that like is trying to make it off the streets, or like any of these like shows that it's usually like black shows, capital B. We could say urban, but like I'm not gonna patronize black people on my show. Not all black people live in urban areas. So whatever. But like on those shows, like on black shows, a lot of times they'll put like, and don't be like black shows aren't different. They're very different. If you're, whatever, it doesn't matter. Ask any black comic, they'll tell you that their shows are different. They're more fun. It's more of like a party than like a show, which is great. But like they'll put like rappers and like dancers and shit like in between the comics, and they're never good. Like don't be bad at comedy, or be bad at comedy in public. I've done it a million times, but like don't be bad at music in public. Like you can practice without people being around, and you can be like, do you know what? I don't think this is good. Like be self-aware. Like I'm fine with people being delusional on comedy because it's like, hey, they just don't understand it. But like if you're butchering a cover song in public, what are you doing? Right? And like the only thing that saved this girl from being the most annoying thing at the open mic was that like I went up right after her, which is why I'm annoyed. Because going up after music is already terrible. Like you have to watch somebody do something that's harder than what you're doing, and then you have to go up there and be like, hey, let me talk about my dick real quick. I wasn't talking about my dick, but like I also didn't get to talk about anything because like a giant homeless man like walked into the spot. He was drinking a coffee, so he was, oh no, he actually drank from the water pitcher. He wasn't even drinking, he was drinking the water, came and sat, and he like asked me, he's like, hey, is it cool if I sit here and watch? And I go, yeah, man, take a seat and watch. Like, I've got zero problem with like a homeless person, even though he's 6'5", like 400 pounds, like, and not even like fat. I mean, he was kind of fat, but like yoked, and I don't think it's 400, but like you get what I mean. He was a house, and he's just like sitting, like, and he goes in and then like goes over and talks to the host while I'm trying to do a bit, and I have to like cut. I'm like, fuck that bit, honestly. I have to cut, like, there's no way that like while this giant is getting settled, I can get into it. And then he started talking at me, and I was like, hey man, we don't talk to the performers, like, I'm sorry, like, I know that you don't understand what's going on right now because like you're not mentally well, that's fine. Like, I'm being nice. I'm not gonna like go straight for the throat on like a homeless, unhoused, whatever the fuck. I live near them and like donate shit. I can call them homeless. They have no home. I don't think these people have been removed from their houses. Unhoused means that somebody stole their housing from them. These people, I'm sure, had housing at some point and then don't anymore because of whatever reason. I doubt anybody stole their house from them. They're not Native American Indians. The original unhoused. There's a whole trail of crying because of that. But no, like, I'm not going to be mean to him. Because, one, he's, like, having a good time, watching some comedy. He's inside, getting some water. He deserves fun as much as anybody. Two, he's ginormous. I'm not trying to get fucking ragdolled on stage in a coffee shop just for talking shit to the biggest homeless person I've ever seen. He's, like, their Gollum. Like, he's fucking Hodor. He was a black Hodor. Like, giant. Didn't speak full sentences, mumbled through stuff. But like, it just comes in and interrupts everything. And then when I'm just like, all right guys, what's going on? Like, trying to get everybody back into it, the fucking music girl goes, hey, I have a question. What does your shirt mean? And I had one of my NFID shirts on. It's No Fear in Death. It's like a psychological. It's like a wow. Why can't I psychedelic. it's like a psychedelic company, and it's like, hey, you're not afraid of dying because you've already died while taking psychedelics and stuff, right? Gonna have to do coffee. Sorry for clanking coffee here in a minute. But like, she's like, what does your shirt mean? And I was just like, we can talk about that not while I'm on stage. Like, this isn't like a question and answer. Did you ask anybody else stuff during it? And I even looked, I was like, we can talk about this later. Like, I didn't stop you in the middle of like your piano recital that you were fucking up to like ask you how many keys were on a piano. It's 88, everybody knows that, but still. I'm gonna listen to that 88 key song. Get Up, or Stay Up. I think it's Stay Up. It's very good. Kanye West is on it, and I think he produced it, so, like, we're not gonna, like, I don't know, we're not super jacked about giving him more money, but I also saw something that, like, he's, like, apparently his, his dentist got him hooked on nitrous, and that's why he's been, like, insane lately, which makes sense. So, maybe he's just a drug addict. Maybe that's like his latest turn to get out of like the whole Nazi phase. So maybe like like punch all Nazis unless they're nitrous fiends. Should be like the new like asterisk on there. But yeah, so like she's interrupting it, and I like got to tell like half of one joke that I had like just written, and it's like this isn't at all how I wanted to do it. But like the only cogent thing that this giant homeless black dude could talk about, and he was like talking about how he's going into like a halfway house or he's going into a shelter soon, and I was like, hey, congrats, man, like getting a roof over your head, like get a new start. And like he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna move in there once Trump's president because he's gonna make it so everybody has houses. And I was like, yeah, that's not how this works at all. And the only reason I brought it up is I saw him walking down the street towards me when I went to go get coffee this morning. And I don't, like, whatever. Homeless people are people. Like I said, they deserve to have fun. They deserve to, like, be heard. I'm not going to qualify it any more than I already have. When you have a pure heart, you know you're allowed to kind of point out things. It's an observation. It's not a judgment. But like it was like he was walking a pack of pit bulls. Like I diverted where I was walking just so I wouldn't have to see him, because I know for sure he was one of the homeless people that would like remember me. Like I have a dude who hangs out outside the Walgreens. When I go to Walgreens to pick up like snacks or whatever, or like a quick pop, I'll give him a couple bucks. Or if I come outside, if he's like, hey, do you got any money? I'm like, I only have a 20. He'll be like, I take 20. Sounds like you know the fucking game. He's like, yeah, I get it. So like, there are ones that like recognize me, that I'm cool with, that I give money to. But this one, I did not want him to like remember me. So I had to like divert my path. But like, I wish I could be like that delusional, to be like homeless and like black and be like, Trump is thinking about homeless black people. Because like that's insane. Like that's, again, he's gonna be president. Like I'm on this tip. It's going to happen. He's polling higher than Kamala is right now. People I know who are working for Kamala's campaign are coming out and being like, I'm honestly surprised how many undecided voters there are. Like, you shouldn't be. Do you not live in reality? Like there's no reason to not understand why there's undecided voters. You can morally be like, hey, there shouldn't be undecided voters. That's fine. I wish there weren't as many undecided voters. That's okay. But like, you're a smart person that I've had conversations with. So like, for you to be like, I honestly can't believe how many undecided voters there are, makes me rethink of how intelligent you are. Because like, you have to know why. Because like, they haven't had a campaign. Like, I had to look out for their platform. Like it's like, hey, Kamala's gonna give you more money for groceries. They're gonna protect your, like, they're in the White House now. Like, they can do most of these things right now. They could have done these things the last 4 years. And I understand that, like, her thing now is, like, it's not going to be just more Biden. Like, hopefully it's not more just Biden. We can't do inflation anymore. Like, it's coming down. That's cool. Right before election time. Wow, crazy, right? But, like, you can't do the same shit. You can't do the fucking Hillary Clinton playbook of, like, hey, I'm with her. If you don't vote for us, you're the devil. Democracy might go away forever. If you do this, like, people are going to be, like, murdered in the streets. And it's like, yeah, that happens all the time. Like, there's people living on the streets currently in a shockingly high level. There's violence on the streets all the time now. Whether it's, like, racially charged or not, that's not good. Like, cool. Are they going to feel more empowered to do more racial nonsense if Trump's in the House? Obviously. But, like, you're also not doing anything to, like, quell the feelings that the nation has and make them feel secure. Like, the point of, like, voting in Biden was supposed to be, like, finally, a breath of fresh air. Who's had a breath of fresh air in the last 4 years? It's been as bad as it's ever been. Like, it's like a Trump part 2 without the COVID at the end. And, like, I don't know, fucking AI's taking over everything. Big businesses are taking over everything. Your entire election's, like, fucking corporately funded, and, like, you're bending over backwards to make sure people are, like, going to know that, like, hey, even though I'm going to be president, like, the markets are still going to be great, and, like, we're going to do just enough to keep the people quiet. Like, that's not a good, like, you haven't switched anything up. Your vice president just lies all the time. He's fucking Minnesota Sarah Palin. Like, you're not coming out with, like, impressive speeches, like, and you're not even doing a good job, like, putting down, like, there's, like, posts of her being like, yeah, or, like, people are like, she's doing the same exact speech at 10 different places. Now, like, it's a stump speech, stupids. It's not going to change too much. Like, it's to get the point of what she's trying to do out there. Like, sorry that every single, like, when you go see a movie, it doesn't change every time. When you go see a play, like, you're going to see a play. That's what you're going to see. The play's the same every time. Now maybe have some awareness that, like, your entire campaign was like, we're the smiley fun people and we do things a little differently. And then you just, like, go to the same shit after same shit, and it's like, these fucking weirdos are gonna come and they're weird for doing weird shit. And it's like, you're weird too. The whole fucking thing's weird. Why are we calling people weird? The fact that you want to be president is weird. The fact that you dated Montel Williams, that's weird. Like, that's very strange. Now, Donald Trump, yes, he's, like, a sex offender who, like, fucking goes to, like, pedophile islands and, like, does all this crazy shit. But, like, when it's like, all right, who do I vote for? Like, the lady who dated Montel Williams, so, like, that means that she's in, like, showbiz adjacent and is probably up to some shenanigans and is, like, attached to the Democratic Party that's going to be wrapped into this whole Diddy thing. Or the guy who is successful on TV and, like, has a brand and is the devil, but also, like, is a straight shooter, and, like, people kind of, like, I think people are like, yeah, fine, give me a dictator at this point. Like, I can't deal with this, like, say 1,000 things, do nothing bullshit anymore. And I can't, like, they just want their, like, people want their jobs, they want food, they want their family to be good, they want to send their kids to school, they want to make sure that, like, their retirement's there, they don't want to, like, have to worry about somebody coming and stealing their house or their job, and you haven't done a good job of, like, saying how you're going to do that. So to be like, I have no idea how there's so many unidentified voters or undecided voters. It may, like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, you have to know why there are. Now, that being said, vote for her. I mean, the corporate oligarchs running everything is better than a dictatorship because we have some shot at, like, taking down business. Businesses fail. Usually, like, they're allowed to fail. I mean, sometimes they're too big to fail, and they get billions of dollars from our government to buy other smaller businesses. An example. I mean, we can't. an example of when the government failed out big business, and then we're like, big business is a problem. Oh, that's probably 2009, 2010, when Obama and the Democrats bailed out all the banks, and now the banking system just does whatever the fuck they want, and we have giant funds like Blackwater that we're allowed to go in and buy a bunch of banks and stuff. So I mean, who's really going to be the one to take on the corporate oligarchs? The guy who tanks every business he touches, right? Or the lady who works for the people who are keeping the oligarchy up right now. So I mean, I guess this is a pretty good Trump ad, but don't vote for him. Like, democracy is super important. As long as we have a shot at democracy, and I mean, also don't tell me democracy's been failing every election that I've been voting in for 16 years at this point. Almost half of my life, I've been voting. I vote in primaries. I vote in special elections. I vote in off-year. I vote in every election. And every single year, for the last 16 years, democracy has been in danger. John McCain was going to be a danger to democracy. Not as much. The one that they Mitt Romney was the devil. He was a radical back in 2014, whatever year, 2012. He's a radical. Mitt fucking Romney. You know, Mitt Romney, who's like basically a Democrat now because the Democrats are Republicans now. That Mitt Romney was going to ruin the world. Donald Trump was going to get rid of democracy. Now, they tried their best. They definitely tried their best. They didn't succeed. So, I mean, I don't know. This time they probably could. But, also, don't tell me democracy's at stake every election. You're telling me this one guy who's taken advantage of the system as the way that it was meant to be by the Founding Fathers, rich, white slave owners that came from a different country just so they could be rich, white slave owners with less rules. You're telling me that guy is going to ruin the system? No. If anything, he's going to take it back to where, it's basically a fucking, they don't like the Constitution because it puts a limit on what they can do. But it is what it is. And, don't vote for Trump. Don't do it. Elon Musk right now, the world's richest man ever, I think. I don't know adjusted for inflation. I could do some math or whatever to make this point stronger. But he's just straight up buying votes in Pennsylvania, which is kind of, I don't know. People are like, oh, this is kind of a big deal because he's buying votes from people. Because what he's doing, you can if you're in Pennsylvania, you can go sign up on a website. You register to vote and you make a pledge to go vote in November. It doesn't say to vote for who, but it's highly leaning towards Trump, obviously, because one rich dickhead who took advantage of slave labor and had rich parents and has turned that into more money and a brand somehow is going to support another rich white person who had rich parents who definitely benefited from society and racism and slavery and whatnot. Of course they're gonna support each other. And the only thing keeping Twitter alive is Trump fans. So of course he's gonna do that. But he's you join a raffle on this website, and if your name's pulled, you'll get 5 people between now and election day are getting $1 million, or 5 people have already been paid $1 million for saying they're going to vote. And people are this is paying for votes. Is it paying for votes? Yes. But also, I understand that the memory in this country is selective. As a guy who does a bit about Bill Clinton being the first black president, that was a thing. For anybody who's Gen Z or younger, or even millennials who have selective memory on how their parents talked about things, or how Democrats acted before we decided that we were the moral party. Bill Clinton was the first black president because he played saxophone on Arsenio Hall. Cleveland. But like he fucking like in 2020 when Biden was elected, right? There was that runoff in Georgia, and Biden even said, like the Biden campaign said that the people of Georgia needed to make sure, and he said nationwide, like we need to make sure that our friends in Georgia get out to vote. We need to like help fund this guy's campaign. It was either a guy or a woman. I don't remember if it was like Stacey Abrams or like the other guy that it was supposed to be. I forget who we were supposed to vote for as somebody who lived in Wisconsin, who I was supposed to care about being senator in Georgia. But their reason to vote for this person was, if you vote this person in, we can get you more COVID money. Which, like, that's directly paying for votes. That's saying, if you vote for this person, we will send you more money. And the fucked up thing is they didn't even pay us. Like, they gave us half of what they said. And, like, he tried to tap dance through some bullshit of, like, the COVID payment was supposed to be $3,000. We got sent a wave of $1,500 or something like that. And he's like, if you want your $3,000, vote for this guy. Then they sent us another $1,500. And he's like, see, that's $3,000 total. It's like, no, you said $3,000, you fucking cocksucker. You can't promise me that you're going to pay me for my vote, and I go and like help make sure that that happens, and then you don't pay me for it. Like the worst thing than buying votes is promising to pay for votes and then only paying half. That's horseshit. So like anybody who wants to grandstand for Elon Musk buying votes, quote unquote, more air quotes for the audio listeners, anybody buying votes, if you're complaining about Elon buying votes, you either like don't care that you're a hypocrite, which again, I said 1,000 times, I'm the biggest hypocrite, but I care. I'm trying not to be as big a one when I say these things out loud. But you're either the biggest hypocrite or you have lost mental capacity and you have no idea why there's undecided voters. Like, every single thing that you said you were supposed to do to save democracy and protect a women's right to choose and make it so everybody's sure to vote, like, oh, they fucking overturned Roe v. Wade and you didn't make it a law while you were in there. Okay, so you reneged on that one, cool. You didn't pay us for the voting in Georgia like you said you would, that's fine. Eliminating student debt, you didn't do that. And I understand, like, the Republicans go against a lot of these things, but, like, that's government, baby. Like, don't promise this you can't be like, well, this isn't going to go through because of the then don't fucking promise it, you fucking nards. Or, like, do a better job getting other people elected. Like, at a certain, like, we show up to fucking vote. Like, you're not, like, it's hard for me to believe that there's more people in this world that believe the Republicans have a better view for the future. It's very hard for me to believe that. What I do believe is that people will be like, well, these people, I at least know what I'm going to get. It's the devil you know versus the devil you don't, like a new one. And we know that the Republicans are just terrible people. The current Republicans, I'm not saying every Republican is a terrible person. Fucking, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. I understand that people switched views at a certain point, and like it kind of flopped. He also kind of like did war crimes and like suspended habeas corpus and whatnot and held people in jail. Like he basically was a dictator for a little bit, but he gave it back, mostly when they put a bullet through the back of his head. But like, and I mean, I don't, like, Abraham Lincoln was a great man. I'm not trying to, and like the country was fractured. There were reasons why, but like you could also see demagoguery going on in that situation. Obviously the Civil War was fought over slavery. He freed a bunch of people. That's great. That's better. Like, the ends justify the means on that one. But like the last time, like, Rome gave over like, you live, like, we're not doing Batman. Like, Caesar is like the thing. Like, you live long enough to, or you whatever, you die a hero, which Abraham Lincoln did, or you live long enough to be the enemy, which he also did at the same time, for certain people. So, like, there are good Republicans, but, like, these current Republicans, you know what they want. They want a weird theocracy. They want all this, like, but you know what you're going against. With the Democrats, you're voting for, like, hey, our idea is to do this. Like, people want to shit on Trump for being like, I have the outline of an idea, and it's like, at least he has an outline of an idea. He's not just throwing buzzwords, being like, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. Like, okay, how are we gonna do? I'm not one of those, like, how are we going to pay for it? We're going to pay for it the same way we pay for anything. It's fake. It doesn't matter. We have infinity money for war. I don't care how we're going to pay for free school lunches for children. Just fucking make it happen. I don't care how we're going to pay for education. I don't care how we're going to pay for roads. I don't care how we're going to pay for any of that shit. Just make it happen. Like, we make wars happen. There's always money for war. But I want to know how you're going to get this through a Congress that you say you can't get anything through unless you have every single member of Congress on your party. Like, unless you, and that's kind of like, we're either voting for a dictator or people who say they can't get anything done unless they're dictators. Like, you can't, well, it's going to be a representative democracy and we got to have Democrats in all branches. It's like, okay, then, like, that's basically voting for, like, you need to make it so you have, like, over 60% of the people in the Senate and over, like, 55% of the people in the House, and, like, to make all of this shit happen, like, you need to have, like, basically 100% of everybody in there. Like, there's not 60% of the citizenry agrees on almost anything except for, like, weed being legal and the government letting women get abortions if they want to. Like, those things, sure, but, like, I don't know, if you were to poll, like, most people, they're not, like, 60% of them aren't going to be like, it's a good idea for most of the government to be one thing. And if you can't get anything through despite that, then what the fuck? Like, you're like, this guy's going to be a dictator, so you need to stop him from getting in there so we can get all of this stuff done. And then once you're in there, you're like, well, we can't get any of this done because democracy. Like, if we were dictators, we could get it done, but, like, that's not how we want to run a government. It's like, but do fucking anything. Like, compared to that, like, I can see people, like, honestly, I have a better time understanding why people would want a dictator at this point in history versus the people who don't understand how there are any undecided voters. Does that make sense? Like, I can understand people voting for, like, yeah, whatever. He said out loud, we may never have to vote again if he's the president, right? Like, he said shit. He said that out loud. He said that he's going to have, like, task squads go in and kill left-leaning people. Like, he said all of this shit. And people are like, yeah, but at least with that, I know what I'm going to get. Like, he's not going to come after my shit. Where, like, the Democrats are like, we need to do X, Y, and Z and not explain it any further to anybody. And you can't see why people are undecided. Now, I know we're rational thinking people and we understand that death squads and not voting and, like, race, like, we all know that those are inherently reasons to vote against somebody, even if it's not a reason to vote for their candidate, right? But at a certain point, after 3 straight elections of vote against this guy instead of for a person, you could lose a lot of steam towards that. And especially, like I said, the last 16 years, democracy's been ending. The last 12, for sure. Like, Romney was going to end Obama-era stuff. We had to, like, vote against Trump because, like, he's going to keep Obama-era stuff from continuing. We have to vote for Joe Biden and, like, fuck Bernie Sanders and all the rest of them. Like, anybody else who's, like, a reasonable choice, we're just going to skip the line and put fucking Joe Biden in there. And we're going to vote for him so, like, we can save the world. Oh, the world's not safe yet? We still have to vote against this same guy? Like, this guy has lost an election. In the history most of the time, if you lose a presidential election, you're a loser forever. Other than like maybe Nixon and like a couple of the other guys back in the day, like you're a loser forever. You're gonna disappear off the map. Like you're not going. Like John Kerry, he lost. He's not going anywhere. Like he was like what, Secretary of State at a certain point. Like, good. That's where you go when you're a loser in the presidential realm. Like, there should be somebody else that's not Trump running for this. But, like, the Democrats did such a bad job the last 4 years to give us any sort of alternative to him, except for the lady who has never been elected to anything. Except for, like, probably prosecutor. It was, like, the last time she was elected to stuff. And that's fucking shady. And, like, people aren't gonna... Like, at a certain point, people are gonna be like, fuck it, enough. Give us, like, a real person that we can, like, fucking believe in. Stop with, like, the fucking moral grandstanding. Stop the, hey, we don't use this word, we don't use that word. Like... If the right goes after Tim Walz for putting tampons in boys' bathrooms, right? Like... And it's easy to make fun of him because he's going to come out and be like, because boys have periods too, which, yes, they do. Some of them, you identify as a man, I don't care, you have a period, you menstruate, great. Live your life. Have tampons in the boys' bathroom. But, like, come out and be like, why the fuck do you care if there's tampons in the boys' bathroom? Like, who gives a shit? If somebody who identifies as a man is menstruating, they need to have their shit too, and they need to feel comfortable in the bathroom, right? That's the end of it. But it's like, instead of like pointing that out and being like, okay, cool, if you don't like it, you don't like it, let's move on. But obviously, like, the people of my state liked it, and we moved forward with it. But you can't be like, you're weird for thinking about tampons, and like, you thought of it first. Like, you can't just be like, you're weird for going against something that has been like beaten into our heads for hundreds of years, is that boys do this, girls do that. Like, you're the weird one, and it's wrong. They're wrong, but like, they've also been right for so long. It takes a minute to learn the new world. And you have to understand, most of these people have, like, never left home. They only, like, hang out with their fucking families. Like, we're the weird ones. The people on the internet who, like, don't talk to their family and have taken, like, stances to, like, try to make the world better and, like, have these, like, big moral arcs of, like, yeah, be whatever the fuck you want to. We're the weird ones. And for you to just, like, be out here calling, like, a normal, like, man and wife with their 2.5 fucking kids, for you to call them weird when you're the weird one? Like, it makes no sense. Like, they see, like, some chick with short pixie haircut with, like, pink hair and, like, face tattoos calling them weird. And you're like, alright, we can't take that seriously. And, like, I don't care if you have pink hair and have face tattoos or, like, whatever the fuck you want. You're probably a better parent than the person who says that you're a bad person, right? You're probably a better person. We're on the same page with that. But also, if it's like, if you go on the Jerry Springer show and it's like that person versus you, everybody, it doesn't matter if you're left, right, whatever, if you're yelling and screaming at this person, every single person's going to be like, that's the crazy person, and they're calling him weird. Whatever they're doing, I'm going to do the opposite. And to be like, I don't understand why people are undecided or, like, aren't getting on this. It's because, like, the people that we've designated to be the mouthpieces of this don't know what the fuck they're doing. And, like, they don't know how to talk to normal people. Like, they've only have, like, they go to law school, they go to college, they get into, like, some cushy job that their parents give them, or they go right into government, so, like, their idea of people is, like, the people who come in bitching about things. Like, they've never had to have, like, a real job. Most of them. I'm not saying all of them, but, like, most of our representatives come from rich families who get them cushy jobs, and they've never hung out with a real person in their life. Like, that's why Trump goes and works at McDonald's. That's why fucking Tim Walz goes and eats at a Whataburger. Because, like, they want to be seen where normal people hang out. These aren't normal people, and we're following their drumbeat to be like, this is who's gonna represent me. Like, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, maybe a blend of them would represent me, but like I could not think of two people who have any interest less in my mind than I do. Like Kamala like was a prosecutor and put people in jail. Like she worked with the cops. Like sure she probably did more lenient things, and like it's good to have a person of color in the criminal justice system to like have some representation there, and things might get better. It's kind of known that people of color in the justice system are harder on people of color. It's kind of like a known thing because they need to be seen as like strict but fair. But, like so like let's ignore that. Tim Walz is from Minnesota, which like I like. Minnesota's fine, but like he was a he's a defensive coordinator of a football team. He was in the like National Guard. He lies about being at like protests and shit, and like his family like was like super supportive of people setting shit on fire in their town and whatnot. And like I'm fine with protests. Fucking burn down the entire city, but like the governor should be like, hey guys, maybe we don't burn things down. Like that's his job. So like neither one of those people, and like neither one of them can have a conversation with a normal person without being like, well, here's the thing. Like, no, just fucking have, like, be normal, be a person. Like, that's why people like Bernie Sanders. He's a rich Jewish white dude from like Vermont that does it. Like Vermont's not even a state. It doesn't even exist. Like who the fuck wants it? Like he's a socialist from Vermont, and people are like, that's more like that is more relatable than like these people who are like down with the streets and we're gonna laugh and dance on the thing. No, we want our boring old white dude to be like, hey, and I mean he can be like Obama was boring and black enough to be like, hey, this is cool, but like we're doing this. Like we don't want dancing on stage. Just be like, hey, we're gonna fucking get shit on track, and this is how we're going to do it. Don't make me, who's like a pretty decently aware person and like a pretty decently informed person compared to a lot of the citizenry, don't make me have to go to your website and be like, oh, they finally put a platform out there. Like you're making it too hard for people to know what the fuck you're doing because you don't know what you're doing. Like you have no real thought in your mind of what you're going to do. You just are saying the things that you think people want to hear. And by doing that, I know you're disingenuous. The fucking right knows you're disingenuous. Unidentified people, unidentified voters, or undecided voters. I don't know why I keep saying unidentified politically probably. But like undecided voters, they know that you're full of shit. So like, they'll go to the guy that they at least know is like against them because they know what they're getting and they have something to fight about. And honestly, I think that's why the Democrats keep tanking this, is because they don't know what to actually do. They just want to fund, like they want to raise funds, they want to be on the moral high ground. And I honestly think that's what a lot of my stupid friends that are like, I cannot believe that this is going on. Do you know what they want him into? Because they've liked having that role of moral grandstander because they don't do anything else with their life. Like, that's what they love. Like, they want to have that moral high ground because they can finally, like, because they're weird. Because we're weird, and it's now our time that we can be like, you're weird for not liking human rights. And you can, like, grandstand, and you can do it, and it's finally your time after your entire life of being like, you can't have tattoos, you can't have pink hair. No, you can have tattoos and pink hair and be the CEO of fucking Hobby Lobby if you really want. But, like, you're still the weird ones. Like, I don't see how that's hard to understand. And to get people to back that versus like, hey, we can deal with like a few, like, most people don't vote anyways, first of all. Second of all, like, letting corporations, whatever, we're not gonna like be like, this is America. Like, Trump's like, we're just gonna let America keep going and we're just gonna keep fucking over everybody. And most quote unquote Americans, by that I mean middle-aged white people and older, are like, yeah, whatever, that's what I grew up with. You're telling me we're gonna go back to like what I grew up with? I'm comfortable there. Having this fucking pink-haired tattooed lady, who I think is a lady, yelling at me, calling me weird, that makes me uncomfortable. I can go back to not seeing black people in public. That's just living in Wisconsin, right? Like they can live with that. And they're not right, but that's what it is. And like the Democrats have literally a week and a half to like figure out how to fucking tell people that they're different than that. And who knows? Like I don't know if they'll do it. I know that they're not going to be able to do it. They're losing in polls. Like there's no way. Like in real actual polls, they're losing. So like if they end up coming out and winning by like, if the Democrats win by anything more than like 1%, then be ready for some shit, because they probably fucking faked it. Like that's when I understand that like the election is being stolen, is if the Democrats win by more than 1%. If it doesn't, like, because if we know that the Democrats won on election night, they stole the election. And I'm gonna vote Democratic. I'm voting for her. But like, if we know who the president is and it's not Donald J. Trump on election night, then the Democrats stole the election. Now, if it takes like 4 or 5 days and there's like a bunch of lawsuits and a bunch of like, if like January 6th part 2 is about to happen, that's when we know the Democrats actually won, right? Like, I'm okay with that if that happens. But like, if on election night they're like, runaway win by Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you know some fuckery's going on. All right, this has been an hour. I think I made up for the time I missed last week. My voice is a little hurty. I got a bunch of other shit to get done today, / I need to get this up and out to you fine folks. Rochester, Minnesota. I am there tomorrow, Friday the 25th, and Saturday the 26th. At Goonies. The headliner has changed 4 different times. And actually 3. This is the 3rd different headliner on it. I'm still the feature, even after emailing them and being like, hey, in any of these rooms that like, you know, kind of do like shady, like low-level headliners, you can headline me, that'd be cool. And they're like, yeah, we'll get to it. Like, this is a room I could have totally headlined. You could have found some other local feature. But whatever. Let's grab a headliner who happened to be available this weekend. He's probably really good on a weekend at the end of fucking October when it's comedy season. I say that not having a full schedule and like knowing, but whatever. That's fine. He can be headliner. But like, but Friday and Saturday, Rochester, Minnesota. If you know where it is, come to it. If you don't, look it up. Come hang anyways. It's 5.5 hours from Chicago. So you can come to that. There's even a hotel attached to it. So like, come to the show, stay at the hotel. There might be a pool. I'm going to look and check after this, because last time I went to a hotel that had a pool, I didn't bring my bathing suit. Actually, that's wrong. I brought my bathing suit last time. The time before that, I didn't. I played pool basketball by myself in a hotel in, where was that? Was that Fond du Lac? I think it might have been Fond du Lac or Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Whatever, Rochester, Minnesota. Then the next week I'm going to Cleveland. This isn't my show, but Joe Briggs, he is taping something at Hilarities Friday, November 1st at Hilarities in the Cabaret Room. Parmesan, fucking sweet boy who used to be on the podcast here with me, who still checks in from time to time. He's the best. Go see his show. And if you can't make his show, you better watch whatever he's putting out fucking 100 times to make up for it. I'm driving in from Chicago to go to it, so if you're local and you don't go to it, I don't care what's going on. It's a Friday night, November 1st. You've got nothing else going on. Oh, but I don't care if the Cavs play. I don't care if your kid has a high school football game. I don't care. Like, high school football's got to be almost done. Go to it. You've got nothing else going on. If you're listening to this, I know you've got nothing else going on if you're in Northeast Ohio. At least nothing worth missing that for. But Patreon got rid of the coffee level. So feel free to go. There's a $3 one. I forgot that there's a $5 level. Go join those, because that super helps me. Just put more time into this. I'm looking into like getting better production value, but that costs money. So if you want better production value, we need to make money off of this. So if you know anybody who wants to sponsor a stupid podcast, let me know. at Who is Ray Roberts on everything. Follow, rate, review, subscribe this, and whoisrayroberts.com for shows and pictures and all that other stupid bullshit. But thank you guys again for listening, for watching. Smash that subscribe button, hit the bell, get the reminder. Ding! Like, I don't know. But thanks, guys. We will talk to you next week. Bye!